What's going on, guys? Hey, welcome back to season 2 of the L3 Perspective.
Life, love, and leadership is definitely the lens through which I see the world. So I am very grateful to be in an environment with like-minded individuals that are speaking the same language, that are talking the same talk.
What I was telling G is I want to be a master of it, though. I want to study this art of speaking because, I'm good at it, but I want to be a master of it.
There's a difference between when you're good at something and great at something.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like, love, share. These conversations are the ones that really affect everyday life for all of us. And ultimately, we do this for you to begin with. Keep listening. We appreciate y'all who are rocking with us into season 2. Because like I said, we do it for y'all.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to season 2 of the L3 Perspective. My name is Glenn Davis, here with my co-host Cameron Macias.
Coach Cam.
And we want to welcome you back to the L3 Perspective. Again, this is a platform where we talk about life, we talk about love, we talk about leadership, 3 essential topics to life, right? And so with that being said, before we introduce the guest, Cam, I'm going to toss it over to you.
Hey, what's up, ladies and gents? You already know, like, love, share, subscribe. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. And let us know because we do it for you guys. And so if we don't know what you really want to hear or guess, then we don't know how to tell it to y'all. So we appreciate y'all. But today, the first Take 2 guest we've had back. Season 2, he was one of our first people on season 1. Amazing guest, amazing friend, entrepreneur, photographer, Chris Pollard. Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back.
He wasn't ready for that. He's like, wait a minute. You think I'm great?
I appreciate y'all. It's glad to be back, and I'm glad to be able to be, one of the first podcasters to come back. So it's an honor, and congrats to you guys just being consistent and doing your thing. I definitely tap in and watch. There's always a lot of value and knowledge to be shared. So
appreciate that. We always like the listeners. So you got a lot going on, bro. I mean, you talk about us having a lot. You have some amazing things going on. But since the last time we talked, I know, you've gotten into the marketing space. You put on your first event out in Sacramento. Like, how did that go? Tell us about it.
So you're referring to ModelCon?
Yes.
Yeah.
ModelCon.
So that was our first large scale event of that magnitude. It was the 4th one that we actually put together over the years. We started a few years ago, but we had to stop. During COVID, for obvious reasons, couldn't get together like we used to. But
the first since I've been around then.
But it was amazing. Like, it was a lot of people. We had a little over 100 people in the room. We flew out one of America's Next Top Models as our keynote speaker. And then the whole event is designed to educate, entertain, and inspire the aspiring modeling community on just how to create success without gatekeeping, and just showing what are the ropes, how do we make it in this industry. Even photographers too, makeup artists, designers, we're all in the room, we all need each other to make this happen,
right?
So why not bring out people, experts, and put them on stage and say, like, how did you do that?
For sure.
And give us the tools.
I remember, like, wrapping up the episode in season 1, we were talking about how one of the things we admired about you is that you are not only a creative, but you create opportunities for people, right? And so one of the things that we go back 2011, 12, 13-ish, somewhere around there, but just kind of seeing not only the growth as a man, but as a leader. And so with you creating opportunities for people, how has that experience been since the last year?
Oh, honestly, that's a great question, because within the events that we host, so we do monthly workshops and classes for models. So we teach them how to walk, how to pose, how to get signed to an agency and things like that. And I actually formulate that into a community, and that community is now like a membership program. So we work with the same group of people consistently over 90 days.
That's dope.
And it's been a blessing, because in our first semester of this year, January, February, March, our students actually organically made their own testimonial video.
Go.
It talked about the impact that we made in the community. And they surprised us, me and my partner, Fatima Irvin. She's our team lead, our model coach in the program.
Okay.
Shout out Fatima.
Shout out. Is that the one that was there when I did the class with you?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, buddy.
And so they surprised us with a testimonial video, and we were watching it on Zoom. We literally had to like, I'm not crying, you're crying. So yeah, as far as the impact, it's been amazing. It's just good to see that everything that you put your heart and your soul into is showing a result.
Gotcha. I want to, for folks that didn't see season 1, definitely go back, check out season 1. But what's interesting is that Chris's story is very unique in a sense. Like there's so many people who want to take that jump, want to take that leap, but they don't because of fear of so many things. And one of the things that I continue to appreciate about you is that back then, I mean, it was probably 6-7 years ago now, right? You quit your job, jumped all in. And that is, again, I take my hat off to you. We take our hats off to you. And like for my family takes our hat off to you just for being that example of, just taking that leap and not looking back while still, facing adversity, but creating opportunities for folks and just keep pushing. And now, not only are you the CEO of Studio 713, you're now, founder of ModelCon.
Yeah.
And so, man, it's amazing. It's amazing. So
yeah, it's been a journey. There's ups and downs. There's definitely time frames where you're gonna have doubt, or I'm gonna have my own fears of like, am I even going in the right direction? Because it just starts with one person.
Yep.
It starts with one person, and there was a time frame where I knew I wanted to get into like the teaching side of what I do.
Yeah.
And then now it's like finding the student, who's going to be my first student, and who can I share what I have my knowledge with. And so it was at first just asking somebody,
Right.
like, I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to do it for free because I believe in you.
Yes.
Yep.
And then people are like, yeah. And then they just slowly trickle away. And then you're like, man, what I'm doing isn't working. Nobody cares about what I have to offer, but you just build one person at a time, one day at a time. And then now it's manifested into something big.
For sure.
Yeah. If you find yourself saying living the dream, watch episode 1. And Chris will tell you not to do that. No, and that's real talk. What the other thing too is, and we've talked about this, is like the follow-up. So I had a conversation with one of my business mentors, and I was telling him how I was frustrated. I was like, man, I feel like, and is it like they don't value what we're doing, or is it they don't, because if I see value in something, I'm on it,
Right.
But what I've learned is that even if people believe in the value's there, it's really up to us to like push it forward a lot of the times. And he even told me, he's like, hey man, I was at, the top level of things and people still suck at email. He's like, you would think people got $1 million contracts on the line and I don't hear from people for 2 weeks. You'd be surprised. And so folks like us are really the catalyst to like execution when it comes to anything. And initially we'll kind of feel as though, oh, maybe it's us, when in reality it's not, because we bring an extreme amount of value.
Yeah, I was actually listening to a podcast this morning, and they touched on a similar subject of trying not to educate people as much, because like sometimes you have a lot of knowledge and you just want to teach people.
Correct.
Educate.
Yep.
But it's less trying to just share a bunch of information with them, and it's more so finding out what they actually want to hear.
Exactly.
So understanding their perspective and then delivering value in that way that actually gives them a tangible result.
Correct.
It's like leading people without actually leading them, right? Because in leadership is essentially that, effective leadership, like just getting the feedback, right?
Right.
Like I may come into this space of like, hey, I want to teach you X, Y, Z. I want to educate you. But then on the flip side of that is more of well, what I'm teaching you is not even something that you have any interest in, right? And so, let me ask and actively listen so that I can coach you in the right direction.
Right, you're leading from a point of actually caring about the person, because what's the point of me telling you how to tie your shoes? This new technique, and I can be like, I don't care about that.
Right,
like teaching me actually something how to make a shoe
for sure. I
actually care about. So you have to lead from a point of caring for others first.
For sure.
So the community you've now started to build, like so I was like, I can't wait for Chris to come, because I was like, yo, you got him out there working out and everything. So it's like not, it's dope because it's not even just like, hey, I'm just here to teach you about how to do modeling. Like I'm here to help pretty much every facet of your life. Like if you got the girls are out there, they're all working out together, they're learning together, they're creating, like you said, a community. Like this isn't just we're messaging on Instagram together. So like was that kind of the start, or that kind of evolved as it went? Like, hey, we should really start doing this. Like, how was that? How did that come to be?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and it definitely evolved into that.
Yeah.
Because initially it's the surface level frustrations of I want to get signed to an agency,
Yeah.
or I lack confidence, or I need a better portfolio, things like that. But then when you start to unpack it and you figure out like, well, why aren't you consistent? Why do you lack confidence? And it's an internal belief.
Yeah.
So our very first class, we start out with finding your why.
Okay.
Let's figure out what are your goals and why do you want it so bad?
Yeah.
And what I've been taught when it comes to finding your why is that if your why doesn't make you cry, it's not strong enough.
If your why doesn't make you cry,
yeah,
put it on the t-shirt. 50%.
Yeah. So we have an exercise called the 7 layers deep, and it really, once you go through that process, you're like, okay, yeah, I want $1 million, or I want a big house or a car, and it's like, well, why do you want that?
Yeah.
Why do you want that? And you go lower and lower and lower. And it gets to this point, well, actually, there's this thing that happened to me when I was a child.
Yep.
Right.
And because of this, I can't let this goal go.
Correct.
So we start with the mindset. And then again, like we said earlier, like listening to your customer and figuring out what it is that they actually need. Sometimes they don't even know what they really need.
For sure.
But like, say, for example, I was in a Facebook group for like models, photographers, all kind of creatives, and doing my research of understanding my audience, I literally just posed the question, like, what are some of your greatest fears about modeling? And I'm thinking it's going to be like, or greatest struggles or something like that. I'm thinking it's going to be something surface level, like I said, getting signed, getting paid, finding opportunities. And somebody literally was like, not getting murdered. And I was just like, wow.
Oh yeah, because I saw your video about that.
Yeah, it was like completely took me off course. I'm like, what do you mean? And then what that came down to was just a lack of the ability of self-defense, walking into a room where there's like mostly men in there. Yeah. And just going maybe like to photo shoot locations. You've never been there before. So I'm like, okay, so the mental health and the physical health need to be talked about more. And that's how we start implementing things like what you see.
That's pretty dope.
Market research, baby.
Yeah. So even one of the questions I was about to ask is, so as a CEO, business owner, why do you feel that research is important, right? So like if, because we have an audience of entrepreneurs or, folks that want to jump into that space, what could you say to that regarding like research being important, or why research is important?
It's one of those things where you feel like it's the obvious answer, but sometimes it's not. Like, you can start creating something and fall in love with your own creation because you built it from scratch.
Right.
And then you go and you put it out there to the world, and it's, like I said, it's not something tangible that they actually desire. It's like you just desire to share it without doing the research of that. Is this something that they want to receive? And then you end up starting from scratch that way.
Right.
Yeah. So researching, I actually just saw a video too about this, about how people like The Rock and like all these famous people that come out with a product or a service and then immediately make sales and, they go viral for it. And it's because they built the audience first.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people will start a business, build the product, and then try to find the customer.
Right.
And what you should do is like flip that, find the audience, build that community, and then sell them a product or service that is catered directly to them.
Chris just gave y'all the juice.
So you have the next ModelCon coming up.
Yes.
How excited are you about that?
Yeah.
This is like ramp up, bro. You you ramping up. And so realistically, subconsciously, that's probably why you were the first person I was like, we got to have Chris back. Because I told Glenn, I said, hey, what do you think about having some season 1 people back who are local? Like, now that we have the setup that we have up to bring them back.
Right.
And I immediately was like, Chris has got to be number 1.
Yeah.
And obviously I like you, but maybe it's all the work you're doing. Like, I had no choice but to have you at the top of mind.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, for the model. So talk about ModelCon, man.
ModelCon 2024.
2020.
What is it? How can people attend? Where is it going to be located? Break that all down.
It's actually going to be ModelCon weekend. ModelCon weekend. So we're doing a 2-day event this year, October 19th and 20th in Sacramento. And this year we have much more guest speakers from out of town. Like we're flying in literally a 90s supermodel. This person was in the same lineup doing fashion shows with Tyra Banks and Naomi Campbell.
Nice.
And we have a celebrity photographer. He shot with like Ralph Lauren, Gucci. He shot with Ebony magazines, produced over 500 fashion shows. And then we have our third guest, who's a viral model, who's, I feel like doesn't come from the perspective of like, I'm speaking on stage, but I'm just like you. I'm a young girl. I make content on social media. I grew my following up to 170,000 followers, and my whole life changed. My career is now amplified because of that. So like 3 different perspectives from 3 different, backgrounds, and being able to hear all of those people on stage is just going to be like, that's never happened before. All those people in the room. And on top of that, we have the owners of modeling agencies and booking agents and casting agents coming out to, give their perspective. Like, what do we look for in a model before we sign them? What are our expectations and what should be your expectations? But not only that, they're actually going to be scouting models in the room. So I'm really excited about the lineup. And I'm excited about the people, the information that they're going to learn. But I'm also excited, like you said earlier, the opportunities that are going to come from that, because we have people flying in for this event now from New York, New Jersey, Georgia. People are tapping in from like all over the states and buying tickets to come to this event. And the booking agents that are in the room, they scout agents from all over the country. Remember, they scout models from all over the country. So it doesn't matter where you're from, what you look like. They sign anyone from, they said, babies to grandpas.
What? So we got to go. I'm the great next Fox, baby.
Put me on, coach.
That's cool, man. I definitely am excited for you. ModelCon 2024.
2024, bigger than before.
Yeah. So I know we're kind of talking business. I'm going to shift it a quick sec. I know one of the things that we value is the love for family, right? And your love that you have for your daughter is amazing, man. So with everything that you have going on, the opportunities you're creating for folks, how do you balance that with your daughter?
Fortunately, and this is one of the reasons why I quit my job in the first place, because I wanted to be able to make my own schedule. And even though there are days where, like today, she's literally here in the room right now.
Shout out.
Shout out to Mia.
It's cool because she gets to go with me when I do things. And that's nothing new though. She's been going with me as I go and do events or photo shoots or any type of business meetings since she was in the crib.
For sure.
So she gets a different perspective on like how a day-to-day life can go. And there's definitely times where, it can be a little bit like, man, I need to stop working and start engaging but right now there's no school. Right. So we're spending all day, every day. And I still have work to do. But it's cool because she's kind of like a fly in the wall in some cases. And I know subconsciously that'll affect her later. But like even on the ride here, so every morning what we do is I have her an affirmation book. So there's affirmations on the front of the book. And I just told her, like, every morning, I want you to write the same affirmations in this book. I want you to write it like yourself. So she does that automatically, sometimes without even being asked now. And I make sure that I take the time out to say, hey, I love you. I appreciate you.
For sure.
I think you're amazing, all these things. So it's the balance is, I have to work, but you can come with me. You can be part of the process.
Right. Yeah. That's amazing, man. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to retire from the Air Force and, again, create my own schedule. And so, as you know, we homeschooled the 2 younger boys.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Shout out to you. I just say it, she does it. But and so just being able to have them present and teach them, to have them be that fly on the wall, right? On those conversations when we're talking business and money and, or not just money, more financial literacy.
Right.
Right. I think that, fast forwarding a decade or two from now, like I look forward to just hearing their thoughts and seeing how they implement certain things. Because just like you had mentioned, just subconsciously, like, with them being in that environment, they're absorbing that information. They're absorbing the environment and the energy. And so that's super dope, man. I can't wait to see.
I've heard a lot of podcasts from successful people,
Mhm.
and they're like, well, how did you create this success? How did you become this person? How did you become so confident?
Mhm.
And some of them, sometimes they'll tell a story like, man, my mom, my
Mhm.
dad, they used to just drag me with them everywhere they went. And I was just like bored, but they're like distracted, like she's drawing and stuff over there right now, but she can still hear everything's coming.
100%.
Like 20 years from now,
Yeah.
people are gonna be asking her, like, well, how'd you do this? Like, I don't know.
My dad went on a podcast.
Yeah. Mia, make sure you shout me out, baby. That's awesome.
I mean, that happened in the last board meeting. So, when we do our board meetings, like it's a family affair. All the kids play, we have a good time. And my oldest inadvertently took notes, and we didn't even realize she was taking notes. And once we got done talking, and like Glenn left, as you were leaving, she said, "Oh, Dad, I took some notes for you about all the stuff y'all were talking about. Just, I'm just practicing my notes." And she's like, "Can you tell me about this?" And I started telling her about it, and she was like, "Okay." And there's been times where like we'll be at her. I went to their school a couple of times, and they're talking to teachers or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, my dad owns a business, and this is what he does." And like they ran her through my whole business, and she was like, "Wow, you really like do this around the kids?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do. Like, I mean, I don't try and hide it from them. I want them to know it. Like, so I'm always talking about it, and that way they never feel as though no one gave them the game."
Right. Yeah, it's an amazing process and she gets a good balance of everything too, because like her mom works 9 to 5.
You can turn on.
Let me stop.
No, you're good.
Okay. Yeah. Her mom works 9 to 5. I work, the entrepreneurship hours, so we're able to she'll see what it's like to be in a desk environment.
Yeah.
And then also like a home desk environment. And so I think that perspective too, growing up, you'll be able to be like, I know firsthand what these two have to offer, and you can make more of a conscious decision.
Yeah.
A lot of people work 9 to 5s their whole life.
Yeah.
And then trying to take that leap of faith is like the hardest thing ever. It's like you don't have anything to even compare how that structure of life even goes.
Right.
So I think if nothing else, to be an informed decision maker.
For sure. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing to have them a part of the process. Yeah. So leading teams, right? So you again, creating so many things. How do you, or what's one of the most challenging things that you would say from your perspective on leading teams?
Initially, it's just reminding me of comments I used to hear of, if no one's following you, then you're not a leader. And I remember there's definitely times where I'm like, I want to be a leader. I want to be in that space. I want to be someone that other people look up to.
Right.
And not having anybody that I could, I guess, lead in that way affected me. And so the only thing that you can do in that case is like, okay, well, what am I not doing? Or what should I be doing?
Right.
And you have to work on yourself first.
For sure.
And figure out what the missing pieces are to become the person you want to be. And then you just operate in that space.
Yeah.
That's it. You just decide who you want to be and figure out what's missing from you currently. And then you just inch closer to that. And so it wasn't necessarily anything that I was like, you and you follow me now.
Right.
Or it wasn't like a Jesus moment where he literally just walks up and is like, follow me.
Right.
Like, oh, this is the Messiah.
For sure.
But you just operate, and then you share your vision and you cast that, and you might say things like, hey, this is where I want to go.
Right.
I don't know how I'm going to get there, but my vision is so big.
For sure.
And that people, they don't need to believe that it'll happen. They just need to believe that you believe it'll happen. And when you can cast a large enough vision, people start to, to follow behind it and rally.
Yeah. It's interesting. You mentioned that. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and their ultimate goal is to be a CFO, right? Or a chief financial officer. And we were talking about, okay, and they were like, hey, well, how do I get there? And one of the things I was telling them was exactly what you just said. Create the person that you want to be, and then once you know what that person looks like, research and study what that person look like. What are the characteristics? What are they doing? What do they don't do? Right? Like find out the framework of that and become that person. Now you don't have to, you know, you don't have to wait to become that person. I think oftentimes a lot of folks wait for that moment, right? And that moment never comes because you're just constantly waiting. You're not doing anything to actually get closer to that
Right.
thing.
No.
And so, I'm glad you highlighted that.
Yeah, it's not something you can just turn on.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I think people will see through that at some point. If you're like, oh, it's time for me to be a leader now. Like, like you
The
just
time has
become
come.
that person.
Yeah.
One of the other things that we've talked about, and I've been talking to G about more and more, is like, people think that just because you have an LLC that you are a business all of a sudden. And, a friend of mine who's also a coach was like, if your business doesn't make money while you're not in the room, it's not a business. You're just self-employed at that point. And so we have this conversation with a lot of business owners to where it's like, you have become the brand so much that money is not made unless you're sitting in the room. And so then you don't have any freedom. And so exit strategies, as far as like face of an organization, is something we've been talking to a lot of businesses about, because like I made that decision early on. Like I started building it and then I was like, nope, G, you coming in. And there's just going to be one big thing. And then no, it's not synonymous with just Cam and then the business or G in the business, because it's interchangeable now. And as we grow, that's the whole point, right? Is interchangeableness within your organization.
I think that's key.
Yeah. But you have to have the vision for it. You got to put the processes in place. And I think that's where a lot of people, if you don't have the mind for it, it can become very, very hard.
Definitely. There's a good book on that. It's called The E-Myth.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't read it. It was recommended though.
Okay.
What's interesting? So my childhood best friend introduced me to that book in like 2005. And so I wasn't a reader, kind of growing up, and especially when I first joined the military, I wasn't a reader. That was the second or third book I ever read from cover to cover. And I think I was like 25. It sits on my bookshelf today because of what it means and who it's related to. But that's one of those books that I recommend reading yearly, right? So, but yeah.
I haven't finished it all the way through. Sometimes I'll tap into a book and then I'll get to a point where I'm like, epiphany.
Yeah.
Okay, I got what I needed from this. Let me actually work on implementing those things.
Right.
Because the E-Myth, it does start you to frame your mind around what can I be doing to actually walk away from this business. Because I've been told that before too, as just a photographer. If someone hires me, they want me.
Right.
They don't want to hire me and then I'm going to go send Glenn to go do it.
Right.
And they're like, no, where's Chris at? He's the one I hire, because there's a trust factor there.
Right.
So if you are going to, like I say, for photography business, I have to put it out there in a way that you're no longer hiring me, you're hiring my team, and we all produce results this way.
For sure.
And so it's a perception thing.
Yeah.
But it's also the mindset of how do you, because a lot of creative people, I'll say, there's ego involved. So they don't want anybody else to do their work or operate on things for them, because I'm the creator, I'm the editor, I produce the final result, me. And that's cool, but it's a workhorse mentality too. And so for me, I think about the exit strategy in multiple ways. I literally just was like yesterday, I feel like retiring from client work and switching over to creative expression work. And because there is definitely an itch in both of those spaces. Like I need the clients because I have to pay my bills.
Right.
Yeah.
But sometimes the client work can become kind of cookie cutter.
For
it's
sure.
mundane. It's not as entertaining.
Yeah.
Versus, okay, I can satisfy that with once a month or so. I'll just do this passion project.
Yeah.
And that fills that gap.
For sure.
But in terms of like leaving the business, what we're talking about, sometimes I'll consider just creating enough passion projects to where it becomes art.
For sure.
And then I can sell the art. And then that's something I can just sell, like posters, you know, merchandise, canvas walls, whatever.
Well, it becomes like a rat race too. That's another thing kind of that I think another coach had told me was like, you know, working with individual clients, great to make the difference, but you know, monetary wise and like just and stress wise, it can become troublesome for a business because then you're always looking for the next client or this and the third. And so that's why I know Glenn and I have made a strong effort to like, we will work with individual clients, but in general, we're like, we want to work with your team. You know, so like I don't really do individual coaching. I do like team coaching. Like we'll teach your executive staff, or we can work on different things. But the rat race of finding client after client after client, yeah, once again, it takes away from the whole point of having your own business. It takes away from the freedom that you know we talk about.
Yeah.
And I would say on the flip side of that, one of the things that we really put out there, you know, with the business as far as like, so folks don't just look at Cam or just G and in the business world, is like as a brand and as a company, like our team, we have very valuable members, right? And so not only are you shaking hands with me or you shaking hands with Cam, we really drive in that factor as far as like, you know, it's almost like this is a package, this company that comes with greatness and excellence with that standard. And I think that a lot of leaders miss that. So many leaders in business just want to be the face, and they miss the mark with the lack of incorporating their team members who also bring value, or they wouldn't be on the team.
Yeah, you would hope so.
And we see the difference in, you know, teams that come together as a team and folks that are just individuals on the team.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot to unpack.
I know.
He's like, G, what are you doing?
I have been looking a lot into the power of a personal brand. You know, because sometimes it's the very opposite of what you're saying. Like people have this product or this service, and it's like, but I don't want to be on camera. You know, and then there's a lack of like trust barrier between what you have and what you're selling, because I don't know you. Why am I going to buy this?
Right.
You know, so there's a power in personal brand and putting yourself out there. But to your point of being able to not just be like, I'm the sole creator and designer and fulfiller of all these things. Like I have a team that we establish these things together. You got to give credit where it's due.
For sure. 100%. 100%. That's why you're an amazing leader, man.
Yep. So as we approach the end, G always has a question.
So the one question, you know, having the platform of Life Love Leadership, one of the things I appreciate this is about, not only are our guests very intentional, is that they all bring value, right? From a leadership perspective, from a passion, love perspective, or just their experience through life. And so Life Love Leadership, right? Pick one of those words. And if you could just share whatever's on your heart.
Oh, man. See, that's why I asked you yesterday. What are we going to talk about?
So, and like I said, everything is you know, organic. And that question is probably the only, if you want to call it scripted, because we know when we identify who we want to be on the podcast, number one, it obviously ties to one of, or if not all three of those things, but it's like, I asked you that question specifically because I have a deeper relationship with you. And I know there's so much that you have inside of you that you're going to continue to impact and inspire so many more people. And I think that whether you say one word or 1,000 words, your actions will continue to kind of be very, very important and impactful for not even just for Sacramento, California, but to the world. And I'm excited to see you touch each level that you touch. So,
first of all, I appreciate that long explanation, so I can think about my answer.
I got you, brother.
I would say life. Out of those three, like choose one word, right?
Just choose one. Yeah,
you can't say all three.
Yeah, I choose life because what is love and leadership without that? You know, I actually just saw kind of a similar post. And it was about choosing one of these things, or choose two of these things. And it was like $1 million, a healthy life forever, your ideal spouse, and had like a couple of different options. Or it was like never pay bills again. And I'm like, okay, never paying bills again. It sounds great. But then I was like, never paying bills, and then love of my life, or like $1 million. And then I was like going back and forth.
Existential crisis.
But then in that case, I chose first and foremost a lifetime of healthy living. So again, the same answer is life, right? Because once you have life, and you're healthy and you're happy, then you can ultimately find leadership and love and finances or whatever anything that you're going to lead up to in that. So you have to find what makes you happy. You have to find what's going to make this life worth living. And there's just too many people who are just depressed, anxious, insecure, and all that. They just have so much that they're carrying with them that makes life not enjoyable from their perspective. And when you have life and you focus on the gratitude of just being present in the moment, and you can let go of the past or any obstacles that you had to go through, then love and leadership and finances, everything follows.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah. That's why I call you brother.
Yeah, for sure. So, man, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
We do. Driving here, the connection, the information, the brotherhood. So before we go out, tell people how to find you.
Yeah, I just hit 10K followers.
Oh, hey, we're sitting with a celebrity.
Signing autographs after this.
Love it.
So Studio 713 is my photography page. Everything is spelled out. The 7 is numerical, so Studio, the number 7, 13. And then also ModelCon is, I would say, a page that we've put up a lot of our attention into right now. So ModelCon _ that Instagram. And just tap in and engage with us. So I'm always active in the DMs. And I'd love to, help anybody out with any questions they may have about this or modeling, photography. I'm an open book.
Nice. Check them out. Chris Pollitt, Sacramento photographer, CEO of Studio 713, CEO of founder of ModelCon.
That guy.
October of 2024, ModelCon 2024. Excited for you, brother, for all of your success and the love that you pass on to Mia. With that being said,
hey, we out. Peace.
Thank you.
What's going on, guys? Hey, welcome back to season 2 of the L3 Perspective.
And I was like, your teacher's there to teach you algebra and math. My job is to teach you how to survive and to help guide you as much as I can.
I was thinking about one of the surveys. 2 out of the 3 of our topics that really stood out regarding men in our viewpoint was love and leadership. This is the L3 Perspective, where we talk life, love, and leadership. We really dove into the piece of life and leadership.
Like, love, share. These conversations are the ones that really affect everyday life for all of us. And ultimately, we do this for you to begin with. Keep listening. We appreciate y'all who are rocking with us into season 2. Because like I said, we do it for y'all.
Yes.